Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I decided to do a video about something that I never did before. It's basically which class is going to be my main for Antorus. It's a question that I've gotten a lot in the last couple of days, in the last couple of weeks. Before Tumas Agaris, I really didn't really need to make this kind of video because I only played Resto Druid, but since then I've started playing Holy Paladin, who's basically the same gear level as my Resto Druid. I have a Resto Shaman I'm trying to bring up, and to the same kind, I kind of have a Mistweaver, but I'm probably not going to play Mistweaver for a decent time anyways. But for the people who just wanted to know which class I'm going to main for Antorus, it's going to be a Resto Druid, and the rest of the video is basically going to describe why. And what are the other options that I had? Why did I choose Resto Druid? Why didn't I play Holy Paladin? Why didn't I play other healers and things like that? So first of all, why am I playing Resto Druid? First of all, Resto Druid game style really appeals to me. It's really cool, like I mentioned in the videos before about the easiest healers. Resto Druids are quite easy to start off, but really hard to master just because of how your HOTS are working, because you need to pre-hot, you need to know the damage patterns, and to be honest, because of how mastery works. So Resto Druid mastery, to the same extent as Restoration, Shaman mastery, is all about people taking more damage. Especially as a Restoration Druid who has Cultivation. Cultivation is going to proc when a person is going to dip quite low. So it almost encourages your raid to drop low. By dropping low, your healing is going to increase. Even more so for Restoration Druid. Of course, all the other healers, healing is going to increase when people are dipping low, but Resto Druid and Resto Shaman is almost built for those moments. There's healing classes that work the best when people are taking so much damage. And why are they taking so much damage? Because there's a new raid on Antorus. People might not be familiar with all the mechanics. People might not be familiar with how to dodge stuff. They'll forget. These are the first couple of weeks, the first couple of days of the raid, and people are not going to be optimizing their gears or playstyle. It's gonna take a couple of months until people are gonna get used to the whole playstyle. You'll see this when people are going to be pugging Antorus. People are not gonna have any clue about how to do mechanics. People are going to take damage. They might not die from the damage. It might not be lethal damage, but they're going to take a lot of damage. That's more to do with normal than heroic. In heroic you might end up dying or end up taking too much damage, but because of this, I feel that Resto Druid healing is so much more fun at the start of expansions or at the start of new raids, because people don't know what to do. There's more damage. Resto Druid can kind of benefit the most from that by just placing HOTS, and it's really fun. Over the time, I feel, once people know exactly how to do the mechanics, people bring in extra healers or whatever, if you start doing farm content, Resto Druid healing becomes really tedious. I don't know. If you're overhealing content, Resto Druid becomes probably the most boring, or a type of healer that you have to try like the hardest in order to keep up in the healing meters, if you really care about the healing meters. And if you are doing farm content as a healer, to not die of boredom, you're going to try to do decent on meters, maybe try to have decent logs, because it's a game, and at the end of the day, farm content can become really boring. And in order to kind of entertain yourself, you'll be looking to get better in logs, get better in healing and things like that. So I see no reason why healers will try really hard to get really good logs on farm content and stuff like that. And as a Resto Druid, it becomes nearly impossible unless you're going to solo heal or two heal certain bosses, like in Tumas Agaris. So unless your guild is like super nice and lets you two heal or solo heal some content, Resto Druids become really boring, in my personal opinion. Resto Druids become really boring when you're overhealing content, when you're doing farm content. But like I mentioned, when Antorus is released, Resto Druids become so fun to play. This same extent as Resto Shamans as well, because their class mechanics accommodate for that failure. They work really well, and I really find it cool. The problem with Resto Druids as well is that some certain fights are just not accommodating for Resto Druids. Some fights are going to have, like, for example, like Mr. Sajin when he first came out, the first two phases, The damage patterns were like people dip low and then they get brought back up to full HP in like 5 seconds, and then there's no damage for another 10 seconds. So your HOTS are basically there overhealing for like 50-60% for the first 2 phases. But again, phase 3 is where Resto Druids were doing really well, because all of the mechanics, I'm talking mainly about the mythic one, all the mechanics come at the same time, and Resto Druid will carry phase 3 but will be absolutely terrible for all the other ones, all the other phases. So there might be fights like this, there might be fights where Resto Druid just doesn't do that well because it doesn't fit the damage patterns. So it's kind of boring once you have to do that fight like over and over again. You have to do a specific fight where Resto Druid is not great, and you have to do that over and over again, and you're always like in your mind, just Resto Druid is not great for this fight and things like that. To the same extent that the Resto Druid tier 20 is or was, it's actually hilarious when I'm doing Mythical Jaden with tier 20 and I'm like, there is too much movement in this fight, and my tier 20, I can't place my Efflorescence. As a Restoration Druid, I don't like that there is so much movement because my Efflorescence cannot be placed. Like think about this. Like, I find it so baffling that they created this kind of mechanic where Resto Druids will not benefit from a heavy movement fight because of their tier 20. So thank you so much that Blizzard has finally changed this to a tier 21, which is not going to be... It's going to be basically like a free-for-all tier. It's going to be great for all of the fights, at least it seems to be. I'm still not completely sure about the Ysera's Gift Smart Healing. They did say that they were going to change the way Ysera's Gift Smart Healing is going to work. I still haven't tested that fully. I hope it is going to be changed. If not, it's going to be a lot less desirable, but it's still a better tier than tier 20. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sticking to Resto Druid. Tier 21 is looking really nice. I'm liking the Pantheon trinkets. I'm enjoying the Antorus Vision. Like, I mean, Arcano Crystal is arguably one of the best trinkets for Resto Druids. Arcano Crystal, like 1.0, was one of the best, and Antorus Vision, which is Arcano Crystal 2.0, is going to be one of the best trinkets, and I'm really looking forward to try and get the trinket. I'm really looking forward to get the Karafi Mana Regen trinket, so I can actually swap out of Balance, because I'm not a huge fan of Balance. I think Balance is pretty good for burst healing, but I enjoy having situational legendaries more, and it seems that there's going to be much more situational legendary viability into Sargeras. There's going to be things like the shoulders, there's going to be things like the helm. The helm I always praised. I thought, like, I've been praising the last couple of months because of the amount of healing it's doing, and I feel the situational legends are going to give you more thinking to do, which I always enjoy, because if you're going to go into a certain fight and you're like, should I go with the shoulders helm? Maybe I should go with Pridus. Maybe I don't have the legendary. Maybe I don't have the Antorus Vision or Karafi, and I want to go with Valence. Maybe I want to go with the belt if there's huge amount of tank damage and I don't have a Holy Paladin in the raid. So I think it's really cool the amount of situational legends that are available for Resto Druids. Resto Druids are great for the start of Antorus because people are going to be plebbing around and taking loads of damage, including myself. So I think it's the most fun time to be a Resto Druid is the start of a new raid. And then I feel it slowly deteriorates because of how how people are going to scale, people are going to kill bosses much faster, people are going to overheal, and there's a problem with the fundamental psychology in terms of raid damage. If the raid sees there's too much damage taken or people start dying, they're going to add an additional healer, and that's not always the time. That's not always true, because a lot of the times people who do tend to die, they just die from one-shot mechanics, but the default choice for a raid leader is to bring another healer, and by bringing another healer you're kind of making the encounter for all the other healers boring. I know this is kind of weird, but this is my personal opinion. I prefer to underheal fights so much more. I prefer fights where there is like, should we bring another healer because we can't out-heal the damage? I honestly haven't experienced this yet, because guilds usually tend to bring in additional healers and just go safe route, which is, there's nothing bad about going safe route. It's just making healing for other healers a bit, especially Resto Druids, way more boring. So there's a lot more scenarios where Resto Druid might be like, that certain fight doesn't work for Resto Druid. We're bringing additional healers. Resto Druid is going to overheal a lot more and things like that. So I did have options. Like, I do have a Holy Paladin and I do have a Resto Shaman. Holy Paladin is a lot more safe bet. If you are in my situation and you're thinking about maining like Resto Druid or Holy Paladin is just a lot more safe bet for Tomb, and it will be for Antorus. You always need a tank healer. Holy Paladin's type of healing, which is reactive healing, requires no setup whatsoever. You don't have to pre-hot or like know the damage patterns. Damage comes in, people lose HP, you just heal. That's it. This basically means that Holy Paladins will be viable or will be great for every single fight. It doesn't matter what kind of fight it is. It doesn't matter what damage patterns there are. Holy Paladin will still be great for all of those. Unlike Resto Druid, if there is like certain damage patterns like Mr. Sajin, Resto Druids don't really do that well. So for Holy Paladin is a safe bet to go with. But of course you need to enjoy Holy Paladin healing. You need to enjoy the tier 21, which seems to be very, very RNG for Holy Paladins. I don't really mind. I enjoy, like, to a certain extent, RNG in healing can be fun. Especially if you played Holy Paladin with Divine Purpose. Divine Purpose can be incredibly satisfying to use, which I actually never thought would be possible for a healer to enjoy RNG aspects in healing until I played Holy Paladin with Divine Purpose, which I actually found quite fun. And I imagine Holy Paladin with Divine Purpose with tier 21, there's going to be some major RNG combos that are going to be they're either going to make you extremely happy or extremely sad. So if you are looking to play Resto Druid or Holy Paladin is the safe bet. Most likely will be great for every single fight. Resto Druid is a little bit more niche. It requires a lot more movement fights. But tier 21 is looking great. Legendaries are looking great. Like I said, I can't wait to actually start using tier 21, to pick up tier 21, to pick up Amatos Vision. The trinkets are looking pretty decent. Like, I mean, beside the Pantheon trinkets and the Karafi trinket, there really isn't that many options, which again isn't super exciting. But Pantheon trinkets, they're looking to be really cool. So for the people who did come in to watch the video, I will be maining a Restoration Druid for tier 21 for Antorus raid. I will be doing split runs because our guild is going to incorporate split runs in this tier, so hopefully we're gonna get a higher ranking in the world based on the bosses, and we're gonna be doing split runs. My Holy Paladin is gonna be there doing split runs, maybe picking up tier 21 on the coins and things like that. I might bring in my Resto Shaman into Antorus pugs, so I might be pugging Antorus the first week that it comes out on my Restoration Shaman. At least I'll be doing the normal runs. So I'll be playing 3 healers at the start. Possibly, maybe I'll bring in a bit more later down the line. But Resto Druid for the time is my main. And it's all thankful for the tier 21's legendaries that are coming in. They're more situational. If, like, disclaimer, if I did know that Tomb of Sargeras was going to be so gear or so tier 19 locked in, like, I actually end up using tier 19 as a Restoration Druid for Tomb of Sargeras for the whole of raid, basically until tier 19 got nerfed. If I knew if that was going to be like that, I probably would have rerolled. Honestly, tier and a bad tier can really affect your game style, can really affect your love of the class, because you're stuck using a not so optimal tier for months. You're stuck using this tier for such a long time. Certain fights work, certain fights don't work. You end up using older tier, then because of that you can't apply to get the new tier. The same excitement, like, I mean, first of all, I love tiers, but I understand that tiers have become a big problem, an issue with legendaries and with how Titan Forging works. I made a video about this before, but I love tiers. I love the excitement of getting a tier and going into a raid and not rolling on tier and saying like, I don't need this tier until the Titan forges 50 item levels. It's just terrible. It literally, it's so bad. It literally I don't know how it went through Tomb of Sargeras, which is wearing tier 19. If I would have known it was like this, I probably would have re-rolled to some other class. But Tier 21 is looking much better. Legendaries are looking pretty cool. Fights are looking really good. 11 fights. 11 fights on Antorus. A lot of bosses to learn mechanics for, so start learning. But anyway, before this video gets way too long, Resto Druid is the class I'm sticking with. For Battle for Azeroth, I have no idea which healer I'm going to be sticking with, but my goal is to have as many healers as possible, is to become efficient in as many healers as possible, and maybe make guides and things like that for as many healers as possible. But thank you for watching this video. Let me know which is your main class. Let me know if you're sticking with Resto Druid, if you're going Holy Paladin, maybe Resto Shaman, or Mistweavers are looking strong, Holy Priests, Tiers. I'm not even going to go into that. I would not go through that again. But let me know which class is your main for Antorus. And thank you for watching this guide, and I'll see you next time.